here we go again.
Before I start talking about these, there's something I want to clarify. About a year and a half ago, I made a video on the Behringer BH770, which, to my shock, were pretty bad headphones. And I made that video for a reason. And that reason was that at the time, there were no, and I mean no, honest reviews of them out there. YouTube was and still is filled with shills, desperately trying to justify their purchases of a bad product. That being said, please keep in mind that I bought these with my own money, and that the opinions I'm about to present are entirely my own. Your mileage and experience with these headphones may vary, so before you start hitting the dislike button, please, calm down, deep breath, have a Dr. Pepper, and then leave your all-caps comments with whatever derogatory or racial slurs you like. Back to the video. So a couple of weeks ago, these things came out, and my lizard brain immediately went, "Yeah, I must consume!" And even then, I saw tons of YouTube producers and audio engineers praising Austrian Audio microphones and their higher-end headphones. However, as of today, there are no reviews of these things out there. And being the Christ-like and virtuous man that I am, I decided I'm going to take one for the team and review these. After all, this is Austrian Audio, the appraised ex-members of AKG. Surely everything they make is amazing, right? Right? Well, to tell you the truth, I'm really not a big fan of these. Now, I know you're sitting there foaming at the mouth, hovering over the dislike button already, but before you do anything, please let me explain. I took these out of the box, which was really well presented, and they felt solid. Sturdy build, there's metal on the important bits, there's a cool color scheme. This is eye-catching stuff. You see this? The ear cups swivel according to the human fucking head.
You know the Germans always make good stuff.
Yeah, I know, they're not Germans, nobody cares, shut up. Anyway, Adolf Audio were on a great track here. But there was a problem. Before I even plucked these in, before any sound came through them, I put them on my head and noticed something strange. I felt a severe pain in my ears, which I can only describe as the sensation of taking off in an airplane. Turns out that these things, when I put them on my ear, created a sort of vacuum pressure, and it felt like someone was jabbing my ear with a needle. And what's worse is, like, the way that they seal, every time I try to adjust them, it happens again. And this is even noticeable when I tilt my head from side to side. I went as far as to put these on my girlfriend's head, and she got visibly uncomfortable with that feeling. Is this a design flaw? See, the problem I think here is that the pads, as comfortable as they appear to be, don't breathe enough to let that vacuum through. And it almost creates this effect of a car dent remover.
Damn it. Not even good for that.
You see these? These are AKG K361s, and they look kind of similar to these, don't they? But unlike the Austrian Audios, they breathe. See this? They breathe. And they don't make my ears feel like someone just shot me into the cold, empty void of space. Okay, enough of that bullshit. How's the sound? Well, after the brief annoyance I had with the comfort or lack thereof, I plugged these into my phone and I started playing some songs that I like. And well, let's just say,
my disappointment is immeasurable. And my day is ruined.
Again, I was not impressed. At this point, I'm still in a bit of shock. I was expecting these things to have a decent sound, but they weren't neutral. They weren't even V-shaped. They were fucking W-shaped. No. So let me explain. I was listening to a couple of songs, and initially, I noticed that I was hearing the bass guitar on the music very, very clearly. There's a lot of fullness in the bass, like around 80 hertz. And that clank from the bass at around like 1,000 to 2,000 hertz, you know, the cling, 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 that shit came through brilliantly. However, I couldn't hear any electric guitars. Everything sounded so thin, as if there was like this giant scoop in the mids. Vocals sounded distant and weak. And to top it all off, the high end is, well, just way too boosted on these. Any song that had a shaker in it, like go put on Ghost Dance Macabre or Tally Hall's Banana Man. You hear that those songs have shakers. And with these, the shakers are in front, in your face, and everything else in the song is just taking a back seat. The exaggerated high end, paired with the ever-present discomfort of the vacuum-tight seal I mentioned earlier, it just makes these headphones uncomfortable to listen to and even painful after like half an hour. So, hearing the sound signature of these headphones made me want to hunt down the frequency response graph. But there was another problem. None are published, and there wasn't one in the manual. So you know what? I'm gonna draw one myself.
Alright, so here we are in MS Paint. As you can see, we are currently looking at a frequency response graph. This particular one is of the HD600. Very, very neutral headphones. Everybody agrees these are probably the flattest headphones on the planet. So over here in red, as you can see, I have the Hi-X15, and I'm going to attempt to draw what I think the frequency response graph for these is. So because these are closed backs, they don't roll off the sub bass, so that just remains flat. At around 80 to 100, I feel there's a boost, and then there's a dip right here. And then there's another boost right over here. So there's a dip here, and then it just slowly starts to rise, and then falls off. This is an exaggerated artistic representation of the Hi-X15 frequency response.
And looking at the graph that I found for the higher end model, the Hi-X55, there are quite a few similarities. Now, I've heard people say that the higher end Austrian Audio headphones are supposed to sound harsh and bad on purpose, so that mixing on them would yield similar results to that of the Yamaha NS10s, meaning that if it sounds good through that, it's going to translate and sound good on all other systems. But I don't work that way. I wasn't born in the fucking 70s. I prefer my playback systems to be neutral, flat as possible. That way I can be confident in what I do and not second guess myself while my ears fucking bleed. So, with all these issues, I decided that I'm going to contact Austrian Audio directly and ask them for their comment regarding the issues that I'm having. I'm not going to read all of this, so feel free to pause the video and read it yourself, but there are a couple of things that I want to address.
If you don't like that kind of feeling, you better go for an open or semi-open headphone. If you use the headphone for recording purpose, you better stay with it closed. Okay,
First of all, I've owned and worn quite a number of closed-back headphones that seal really damn well. Look, K361s again. You know what? They seal and they don't fucking hurt my eardrums. Now, I still believe that there is a possibility that my head and ear shape isn't that well suited to these, but on the other hand, I've never had this issue with any other headphone before, and it's not an issue that I'm willing to take lightly.
The Hi-X15 plays down to 20 Hz very well, and with very little harmonic distortion. Way better than the other headphones in this range. For this reason, we don't see the need to boost bass in the higher bass frequencies or lower mids. That's what many competitors do to compensate the non-existing very low end.
Are you kidding me? The second loudest thing about these headphones is the bass. Don't feed me this scrap of, we don't do what our competitors do. Guess what, sunshine? I have headphones from your competitors, and they sound better than this atrocity.
We do not hand out a frequency graph, as there is no standardized way of measuring headphones, and different measurement procedures and setups show totally different results. So as long as it is not measured exactly the same way, a comparison doesn't make sense.
Now this is actually a valid point. There is, true, no agreed upon or standardized universal way to measure headphones. But there are hundreds, no, there are thousands of headphone measurements on places like Artings, Headfi. Hell, you see this Austrian man? He's from the same country as you are, and he's able to measure headphones all by himself. On top of that, plenty of other companies do offer measurements of their headphones. So could it be that you don't provide headphone measurements because they would look like the alpine fucking mountaintops? The measurements other people have made of your headphones clearly show a non-traditional tuning. So what gives? This is the Sennheiser HD600 frequency response. Flat as fuck. Bayer Dynamic DT770 response. Not as flat, extends a little bit more into the bass, but flatter than the Austrian Audio HiX-15.
Sound is always a question of taste, and for the HiX-15, we only received very good feedback from media and users until now, especially for headphones in this price range.
Okay, this is the last point, and one that genuinely pissed me off. I understand this is a marketing reply, but we've been getting nothing but good media coverage up until now. Guess what? Everything in the audio world gets good media coverage. Seriously, you show me a negative article written about any piece of audio equipment, and I'll show you the progressive human rights policies of Auschwitz. Okay, look. Let's take one more look at the AKG K361s. Look at how absolutely torn to shit these pads are. Do you know why they're like this? Because I've worn them for 8 hours a day, every day, for the past year that I've owned them. They are comfortable. They don't heat up. And they don't sound like somebody's putting a needle into my fucking ear. Based on my experience with the Austrian Audio HiX-15 with the 40 or so hours that I've had them, I'm sorry to say, but I can't recommend them. Personally, at the price point, I'd rather save another 10 or 20 bucks and get DT770s, or save a couple of bucks and get the K361s. Hell, the Lewitt's HP8500s that I reviewed a while back sound better to me than the Austrian Audios. And again, they don't introduce my eardrum to a searing fucking world of pain. Look, I've given these a little bit of a hard time, but like I said at the beginning of the video, your mileage may vary, and you might actually love these. The fact that they seal as tight as they do might make them great tracking headphones for things like drums or vocals where you don't really want clicks being picked up by a microphone. And I do welcome all of you who own these to leave your comments. Please, I genuinely want to know if I'm alone in having these struggles, or if people have had similar experiences. Looking at some of the forums on HeadFi, I noticed one particular user posted things like this.
Everybody have dick tonight. Everybody my dick tonight. Everybody my dick tonight. Everybody my dick.
Granted, he's talking about the HiX55s, but these are the same issues that I'm having with the HiX15. And honestly, I've got nothing more to say. I'm going to end this video because guess what? In 10 minutes, these are about to be shipped back to where I bought them.
Like, share, subscribe, or your mother will die in her sleep tonight.